Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Winter Pride 2021. We are still in the middle of our Metroidvania block with Axiom Verge 2 and Sabera's run of All Earns, No BS. Take it away.
Hi, everybody. I'm Sabera, and welcome to Axiom Verge 2, the sequel to the hit 2015 Metroidvania, Axiom Verge. The category I'm going to be running for you today, as Xandra said, is All Earns, No BS. As everybody knows, skills are stored in urns. So this is going to be the equivalent of an all skills run that you might see in Hollow Knight. And No BS is a glitchless category. And as everybody, I'm sure, is aware, BS in this case stands for boomerang steering, which is an additional, not quite a glitch that is disallowed in this category. We did meet the glitch exhibition incentive. So while this run is completely glitchless, although you will see some shenanigans that look like glitches but are absolutely not, we will go ahead and show all of those off. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with our All Earns run in 3, 2, 1, go. So in Axiom Verge 1, we were a theoretical physicist named Trace. And in Axiom Verge 2, we are a billionaire capitalist named Indra. And so Indra gets where she's going, in this case, Antarctica, by helicopter. She has a guy to hold her hand out of the helicopter, and she's like, hey, wait by the chopper. I'm going to go turn the power on here. And in order to turn the power on, we need to grab an ice axe and save quit, because that's faster than walking back. And he didn't wait by the chopper. He's gone now. Pretty much forever. We're never going to see him again. But our ice axe does let us break through boxes, which is what's going to let us actually make our way into the Antarctic station. Some of the larger boxes take 3 hits. The smaller ones take 2 hits. So we do want to go for the smaller boxes when possible. Running upstairs is slow, so we're just going to jump. Billionaire capitalists can jump actually quite high. And soon they're going to be able to jump higher. But so now we get to turn the power back on, and we are again going to transit by save quit. This is one of the few times in the game where transiting by save quit is faster for reasons other than traveling long distances. We do have a little elevator here. A neat little trick here is that you can actually duck under the door, and it does make your hitbox smaller. Flashing lights warning. We are going to be zapping into an alternate dimension now. All right, flashing lights are done. For the entire rest of the run, save quitting is going to take a lot longer because we're going to have to go through a long respawn animation. But for the early portions in Antarctica, save quitting is actually quite fast because there is no respawn animation. So now we are in the alternate world of Kinger. Nobody actually knows how Kinger is pronounced because Tom has not told us. That's okay. But so a bunch of people in a company that Indra just bought disappeared here, so we kind of followed them in, and this bridge is going to collapse on us. We're going to drop into the water. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 is the number of strokes it takes to start the room collapsing. And in order to get through this sequence, we actually need to drown as fast as possible. So we are going to press ourselves into this block, and then hold open a menu to make ourselves drown really fast. This is about the fastest that you can drown. Otherwise, you have to wait for the water to fill up the room. And when the water fills up the room, we are going to automatically acquire our very first urn, Amashilama. All of the skills in this game do have somewhat I guess, Mesopotamian sounding names. Everything's kind of like Sanskrit-y. Amashilama turns us into a nanite cloud, so now we can respawn at save altars. We also are heavy, so we can walk in water. We can't swim anymore, but we also don't need to breathe. And we can jump 1 tile higher than we used to be able to. This is actually very important. You can't actually get into the main areas of the game without being able to jump that high. So Amashilama is really useful in that respect. Unfortunately, spoiler alert, she's also the last boss of the game. So we're gonna be fighting her later. How does that work when she's inside of our body? It's a long story. We'll get there. First, we have to go and get a boomerang, and we are absolutely not going to be steering this boomerang under any circumstances. By swinging our pickaxe at the same time as we jump, we don't have to swing our pickaxe in place for reasons I don't totally understand. If you swing your pickaxe on the ground, you stand completely still, period, end of story. And so we're going to take this boomerang, and this boomerang is going to let us get past a laser barrier because that's what you expect boomerangs to do. So we have a slightly significant problem here, which is even with our increased jump height, we can't quite reach all the places that we want. And so the thing that we need to solve that problem is power grip. So we're just going to rip off Metroid right here. Now we can hang on the corners of things. I don't know how I jumped over that. That's literally never happened before. That was awesome. And this allows us to climb out of this area and move on to the next area. You're going to see over the course of this run, so we are at 2 urns now. The one that we just picked up is called Shishkala. That's our power grip. You'll see I moved past a little like glowing blue bottle. That is a flask. It is not an urn, so we do not pick them up in this run. Flasks and urns are different. It's a very important distinction. And so just be aware that when you see flasks, we're not going to pick them up. We're only going to pick up urns. Power grip allows us to climb our way over the glacier, and that allows us to enter the area known as Mount Eben. This is a camp. There's actually a person here. We're not going to stop to talk to them. There's a forced cutscene in story mode. We're going to ignore that. This looks like a... Oh, I didn't actually land it. If I had exited the door before the boomerang had hit the urn, it would have canceled the animation on collecting the urn. It looks like a glitch, but it's absolutely not. And so that is Ra. And Ra allows us to have a charged melee attack. Charged melee attacks are slightly more powerful than regular melee attacks, and we will never use them. We just don't do a whole lot of fighting in this run. And so we have a little bit of a climb here up to our next urn because unlike the first game where glitching was the power du jour, this is hacking. Indra is more of a hacker than she is a glitcher. That's why this run is totally glitchless. So we have a little bit of a climb here. So we do have time for donations, readouts, anything while we kind of make our way.
Absolutely. We have a $5 donations from Seraphin Evelis saying, "Good luck, Sabera. Show everyone the amazing talent without me into speedrunning." Thank you so much.
Aw, thank you, Seraphin. So this is where we're going to go ahead and pick up our next urn. This is Mushus. Mushus is our infection power. It's hacking. It lets us hack things and make them do what we want them to a certain extent. So we're going to use those to hack these platforms. Now, the big thing about that sequence right there is if you are holding the button that puts your hacking field out, when the urn breaks, you immediately start generating a hacking field even before the animation has stopped. The game gives you the power before it actually does the animation. The only exception to this is the Amashalema urn that we picked up at the very beginning. So we are actually going to save the game finally here, because we're going to want to come back to this very specific spot in the pretty near future. And so we're climbing up here kind of into these snowy mountains again, and we're actually going to say hi really quickly to the first boss of the game, but we're not actually going to fight it. None of the bosses are required in this game. Hi, angry flying bull thing. I'm going to try to do something here that's probably not going to work, yeah. If you pause exactly when you strike an urn, you can save quit without going through the animation. And as I mentioned, since you acquire the ability as soon as you strike the urn, you get to keep it, and you save about 7 seconds on every urn that you don't have to sit through the animation for. So the reason that we want to save quit here, the urn that we picked up is Damu. It's a drone. Everybody who's played Axiom Verge knows drones. So we wanted to throw that drone over here. We're not supposed to be able to get here, but there's a big difference between Axiom Verge 1 and 2, and one of those is that the drone is allowed to save. When you save quit and reload, whichever character is active, whether it's Indra or the drone, that's the one that will respawn at the save altar. So the drone can save somewhere. We recall to Indra, and once we get control back to Indra, we save quit, and Indra moves somewhere that she's otherwise not able to get to. So now we are in this area, the Giguna Steppes, and we're not supposed to be here. We're supposed to have to get the moral equivalent of gravity suit and a little like explosion ability, all of that. We'll go back and get those later, but it's faster right now to actually go through this area. We're going to pick up 2 abilities here. The first one that we're going to get right here is Ninnersog. Ninnersog is a wall climb. That's really handy. Ninnersog Ninnersog is absolutely required in glitchless categories. In fact, if you're not doing major glitches, so even in the no major glitches category, Ninnersog is required. We're going to save quit back here because it's faster than walking back. Indra has kind of a long wake up animation. The drone has a shorter one, but unfortunately we can't swap between them, so that's a little bit of a problem. And we are going to move up into this temple area, which we couldn't make our way through before because we didn't have wall climbing. So this temple, everything is just a little bit finicky here. In this next room, I'm just going to be 1 second while I... All right, so we are going to hack these things to be our friends so that their steam doesn't damage us. And once we are through that, we're through kind of the hard part. That room is actually surprisingly more difficult than it looks. But now we get to enter what's not supposed to be, but is going to be our first breach pocket. Only the drone can enter the breach. Cat Jam. Breach music is extremely different from the rest of the world, as you can see, and so are the graphics. So there's even 2 different physics engines. Certain things that work in the main overworld do not work in the breach, even though it's drone movement. But so this is actually one of the more dangerous parts of the run. The drone can't take that many hits. There are a lot of enemies that do a lot of damage here, and the drone just like doesn't have that many hit points. But there is an urn in here, and because only the drone can go into the breach, only the drone can collect this urn. This is a Skiri. A Skiri is the grappling hook was the fun movement. Well, it actually wasn't the fun movement in Axiom Verge 1, but it was very cool and let us do lots of shenanigans. This is kind of like that. It's more like a little like slingshot hook than it is like a grappling hook. And this is one of the 2 components of fast movement in Axiom Verge 2. So we're going to be spending a lot of time hooking onto things to go faster. I didn't hook onto that last ledge into this room because you can buffer a jump over that first pill bug, and that is important because the pill bugs do tons of damage. And if you die in this particular breach, you go back a really long way, and we don't really want to do that. When we exit the breach here, we are automatically going to be anchored to that save point that we exit at, so we don't actually even have to bother to save the game. We can do the body swapping again, and Indra will come over here into this little alcove, and once again, we are going to throw our drone to go somewhere that we are not supposed to be able to go. So we'll just climb our way up here and latch on over here. Oh, I did that wrong. Oh, I still made it. Whew. That was very narrow. So we're going to spend a bunch of time falling here to get into another area. So we actually do have time for a couple more donations here while we make our way into Irakar, if we have any.
Absolutely. We have $6 from Gears for SNES. Thank you. And that is for the one of the many bid wars we have going for the Earthbound run later. So if you want to name any characters, for example, Ness into SNES, here we go. And we also have $100 donation from Neomegas X saying, "Hi Sabera, good luck with AV2 and have fun hacking the planet."
Oh, thank you. That was incredibly generous. Thank you to everyone who's donating. Oh, whoops, that was a mistake. I did not actually mean to pop that there, so we're actually going to pop our drone and reload there. So we just picked up an urn called Kilnimak. And what Kilnimak does is it lets us see the breach even when we're not in the breach. So if you see the little like glowy things there, that's actually the breach map that is layered on top of the overworld area that we're on. It does have one other important effect, which is that it reveals hidden breach portals to us. So we're going to climb our way back out here. We were actually supposed to use a hidden breach portal right next to Kilnimak, but by save warping, we're able to get back here and shortcut our way to the next urn, which contains the power of flight, Barash. Now, if I do this correctly, there we go. So Barash gives our drone a little hover, and the hover, unfortunately, has a slower horizontal speed than our base movement, but it does have one really neat upshot, which is that if you slingshot off of something and then hover out of it, you get to keep your slingshot momentum. So we're gonna just do that. The other thing about hovering is that you can extend the amount that you're allowed to hover by tap hovering. So you do have a maximum amount, maximum distance that you can hover that you can extend by tapping. So we're going to do that. That's another boss, by the way. Again, all of the bosses in this are optional, and we will not be fighting any of them except for the very final boss. So we were just in Irakar, which is kind of like a beachy sort of beachy area, and now we are in, gosh, what the heck is the name of this area? I forget. Anyway, it's big and green, and it is also the source of our next skill urn, Dune, and Dune is fast travel. This is really important for a speed run, as you might suspect. So we're going to grab that, and we're actually going to go ahead and nab a little save point over here. We're going to immediately recall to Indra, and we are then going to send Indra all the way back to Mount Eben, back to this save altar. So there's our friend Malka, is her name. And so now we are going to go get our, Super Metroid has pancakes for the gravity suit, but our underwater movement comes in an urn, so I guess that's maple syrup. So we're going to go get our maple syrup. That's going to let us move through water, and we're also going to go get our little explosion ability, which is going to help us traverse a couple of impasses that we're otherwise not able to get past without glitches. So we do come down here. One nice thing about Indra throwing the drone is that the drone does get a little extra horizontal momentum. So by throwing the drone, ooh, I did a bad. I went to the wrong exit here. That's fine. So by throwing the drone, you actually do get that like same fast movement speed that you get from slingshotting, and you can also save it by hovering. So we are actually going to risk life and limb here to go ahead and pick up our maple syrup here. This is shoot, I forget what that one's called. But we are going to go ahead and fly and tap hover our way all the way over here past that boss. Get caught, apparently. Ooh, that was yucky. I went a little too far. But so one of the fun things about having the underwater movement in this game is that it actually makes you move faster than you do on land. So now we pick up our explosion ability, which is called Good Anna. And I was actually supposed to map to fast travel a little earlier there, but that's okay. You can pause right as the drone is exploding and open the map and be ready to fast travel as soon as you resume control of Indra. But so we're going to bring back over here. This is why we hit this save point. Fast travel only lets us move between save points. And so what we need out of this area is we need our explosion ability because it lets us drop that block. Excuse me. There is a little bit of weird collision in that area, so it actually broke open my drone before I was ready. And that's why popped it. I accidentally recalled it there. It is unfortunately a little bit dicey, but it is also the best place to put Indra in the meantime. So we're going to go ahead and tap hover our way across here. We're actually going to make our way to an alternate dimension. No, thank you. No, thank you. And in that alternate dimension, we are going to pick up another actually very important ability for getting through the game without glitches, which is the Imdugbir, which is actually one of my favorite urn names. Imdugbir. It just sounds so dramatic. Sorry, flashing lights warning. But that allows us to charge up our slingshot and fling the drone both faster, farther, and it also breaks through certain blocks when you do that. And so Imdugbir is really useful. We're going to just zip through this area. One of the reasons why we got Liru is the water movement. I remembered what it's called now. One of the reasons why we got Liru early is because this room has water in it, and so it is faster to move through this room when you have Liru. So we'll retrieve Imdugbir. The game actually anchors us to the first save point in this area when we come through that elevator. So we are actually just going to recall to Indra. And now we are going to do something that probably seems a little silly. We are going to merge Indra and the drone into one entity and pick up Anuman. We used to pick up Anuman very close to last because it saved a cutscene. In like sort of toward the middle end of the run. But it turns out that it's actually faster to get Anuman for a couple of reasons. One is every time I switch back between Indra and the drone, we get a little boost of speed. The other is that some of the jumping is substantially easier. And finally, here in this area, I'm actually going to take I can't take that safety save. That's right. That room, there's supposed to be a forced battle there. We're supposed to go through a sequence where Amashalama steals our body from us and leaves us trapped in the drone. And then Anuman is the way that we actually get our body back. But because we didn't do that sequence, the fight that happens there where Amashalama like contests us. Oh no. No, please, no. Oh geez. All right, this is gonna be bad. Yeah, that's gonna send me back here. So we're actually gonna have to come back out through the elevator, unfortunately, because we are anchored to a weird save. Getting the climb up there can be a little bit difficult. So flashing lights warning, it's going to happen again when we transit dimensions. We also can't recall the drone anymore, so we do actually have to walk out of here. So that one's an especially bad beat for that reason. So while we're kind of on our way back, if we have any other donations or incentives or anything that you want to talk about, please.
We do have a Joshi gives us a $50 donation with the comment, "I'm gay." You know what? Same.
Me too.
Yeah. Thank you for that donation.
Thank you very much. And also, congratulations on sharing with us that you're gay.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, this is a good space for it. So, all right, so we're going to try this again. The slingshot movement in this game is so much fun, by the way. It is just really... okay, that's not really what I wanted to have happen. Okay. So when we came back through the elevator, it anchored us to this save point instead. So it's not actually not as bad as it was before. We can kind of fast travel back here, but this is very much... I have actually never had this much trouble with this particular area. So I do apologize. But basically what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to climb this big tower that has the laser barrier where that big facey thing is. You saw the big face. You all saw the big face, I trust. It's pretty hard to miss. And so... So
it's totally fine. Sometimes interdimensional defense systems are just jerks.
it's true. Sometimes they are. So now we're going to use Imduk Beer and tap, 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 and change, and change. And there we go. First try. So by changing back into Indra right at the last moment before the transition, we get to change back into the drone right after the transition, which allows us to regain more height with the hover. So the hover starts by gaining a little bit of height and then loses height. And by regaining a little bit of extra height there, we're basically able to make that jump. It saves about 20 seconds over going the long way around. Fun fact, you can also do a reverse slingshot boost, which is really actually pretty fun to do. I don't do a lot of them because they're actually pretty hard to pull off, but so now we're in this factory, and for those of you who played Axiom Verge 1, you might recognize egg. So this is an interdimensional egg rather than an immortality egg. Yes, there are different kinds of eggs. So this takes us to the filter, and some people that we know and maybe even care about are trapped in here. And so we're gonna try to rescue them by hacking, as you do. And what we are going to hack is, it turns out, an egg. And now that we've hacked an egg, come through an egg, an interdimensional egg, and hacked a prison egg, we're now going to leave through a different interdimensional egg, which is going to take us back to the original interdimensional egg. It's all very confusing. So don't worry if you don't follow. But now we get to go to what I would say is the worst room in the game. This room right here is Spider Room. And Spider Room is terrible. These spiders in the room can really just like hound you and murder you unless you slow them. Oh no. Emit health, please. And slow. Okay, we're through. All right, cool. That was not the best spider room, but it was not the worst spider room. Oh geez, I did that wrong. Please no. All right, you know what? We're actually gonna, okay, by hacking that terminal, I made it so I don't have to go through Spider Room again. We can actually just climb this room now, and it will take us back here to where we were before, and that will allow us to just exit the room. So that was a very narrow save. All right. So we're pretty close to where our friend and neighbor Amashalama is trying to steal a super weapon for purposes that are probably nefarious. We don't really want her to do that, so we need to stop her somehow. But unfortunately, she is protected by our mortal enemy, a grate. And in order to get through a grate, we need to be able to turn into smoke, which we don't have the ability to do yet. So what we will need in order to eventually get that ability is the ability to draw breach portals toward us. So we picked up a little mini breach attractor there, and over here we're actually going to have to stop really quickly and pick up another urn that allows us to leave the breach more or less wherever and whenever we want to. And then we're going to immediately leave the breach and teleport back over here. If that seems a little circuitous to you, the way that you normally get to the urn where you get Halam, the power that lets you leave wherever you want, is even more circuitous. And by coming in from the factory side of things, we actually save something like 3 minutes over quote unquote intended route. So now we are in the Glacier Breach. So the Glacier is the area that we get to when we first arrive in Kinger. Oh, I got lasered. That's gonna be I'm gonna have to take things a little bit easier than I normally would in the next room. It's gonna be fine. Everything's gonna be fine. So this room has these spinning spikes that are terrible. You can slip by them. If you can afford to take a hit from this one, you can take one hit to get by it pretty quickly. But the rest of them, you can just kind of slip by without taking a hit. If you go around the long way, you don't have to take any hits, which is really nice. So that's what we're gonna go ahead and do. We have a save point here, so we are gonna go ahead and restore our health because that was a little too close for comfort. Also, we have some mandatory hits to take in this room that are going to be quite large. That one was not mandatory. That was completely optional. But, you know, we had a little spare health from the save point, so I thought I would put on a show. So we do have another boss here. Once again, we are just going to skip the boss and flit on to the next area. So this, we're now actually able to come out here, use our breach attractor. Over here is the dead body of one of our former corporate rivals. We're not like especially happy to see her corpse or anything like that, but you know, we're not happy about it because we're a billionaire capitalist. And then through here, we are actually able to exit the breach into the room where we pick up the smoke power, which is also where Amashalama is stealing the super weapon. Now, why she has our old body when we never went through the body swap sequence, I have no idea. But as soon as she starts to move, we can go away and do other things. Now, if we go ahead and throw the boomerang and then fast travel, we can cancel the animation from collecting Tilhar, which lets us turn into, I called it smoke. It's really more mist. It's like a nanite swarm. You know, mist could pass. So now we pass. That's pretty cool, right? We have 2 more urns we need to collect over the course of this run. One of them, the way that we get to it is a little bit funky. You're supposed to go through this breach area on your way to the body swap sequence, but it is much faster to collect and much safer to collect the urn by coming at it from the back later on in the run. So the urn that we are going to pick up now is Usan Ra, which is a charge attack for our drone, which we are also never going to use. Charge attacks are great. It's just that we don't spend too much time attacking things in this run. So here is Usan Ra. And the very last urn that we will be collecting in this run, number 18 of 18, is called Zaltu. And in order to get Zaltu, we actually needed our mist power, our Tilhar. And so we actually have to come back here to the Glacier Breach. Back to this particular juncture. We have to go through another awful set of spiders. But this time we have the benefit of being able to turn into mist. So it's a little bit easier. I was maybe over aggressive about that room, but not too bad. We didn't take any hits, and that's oh, hello. So we have a bunch of springy boys here, and springy boys are not happy to see us. They want to spring us all over the place, but we are able to make our way through them with the power of hookshot. We're just going to mist ourselves a little outside of this field of vision. Once again, we're just going to try not to be seen. We need to maintain a little bit of our thing to get through this gate, but now we're in the clear. We're basically just going to slingshot ourselves through this door and buffer a hover through the door, and this is Zaltu. What Zaltu does is it makes it so we don't have to charge our slingshot to get our little bust through walls ability anymore. But now we've collected all of the urns. And so the only thing that's really left to do is go beat the game. So if we hadn't collected Anuman, when we got to the last boss chamber, the last boss would simply not show up. But we had to collect Anuman because Anuman is an urn and we have to collect all of the urns. And so the last boss is going to be there when we arrive, unfortunately. There's nothing that we can do about that. But we do have one last very silly trick up our sleeves. So as is appropriate from a narrative perspective, we're going back to the area that we came from into through a grate that we couldn't get through. That was our nemesis for the rest of the game. We have time for probably one more donation before the final boss.
Absolutely. We just have a $100 donation by Eon saying, I heard something about a Tetris something or other. Thank you so much for donating towards your own Tetris Grandmaster Showcase to hopefully be seen later on in this marathon. We are just on the edge of $2,000 to that.
All right.
So heck yeah.
This is the last boss. And basically what's going to happen is she's going to run around and goop all of these terminals that are trying to allow us to arm this bomb. But we can get to 3 of them before she goops any of them. And if we do that, then we skip the parts where she makes a mess of the other ones. She puts barriers around them. So our old body is actually going to come save us when she traps us, and we're going to activate the detonator sequence. And now we're going to get the heck out of here. Every good Metroidvania, I guess, needs an escape sequence these days. And we get to do lots of slingshotty movement. Whee! Whee! And you'll notice that my drone is doing somersaults now, no matter whether or not I charge up the slingshot or not. We're going to get to the top of this, and this is going to close behind us. The bomb is going to detonate, and that is the run. That is Axiom Verge 2, all earns, no BS. We should see 11% items. 11% items. In 3415, that's, you know, a little bit rough. We had a couple of bad beats there, but not too bad, still underestimate. So I hope y'all enjoyed that. But as I said, we didn't do any glitches. We didn't do any glitches. So let me tell you, the easiest way to show off the glitches is actually for me to show you the any percent run of this game, which is 11-ish minutes long. So we're gonna come back to Antarctica, and there's no glitches in Antarctica. Of course, you have to go to an alternate dimension to do glitches. That's just, everybody knows that, right? So we are gonna do this little segment again. So if we have any more donations, if we have any more. Donate toward the Tetris Grandmaster incentive, please. Now's a good time while we just make our way through this one more time.
Perfect. I'm just still shaking my head. That was so fast. Holy crap. Oh, wow.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, I just want to say we are getting close and closer to our special post marathon incentive. And by the way, there's a new development. It's not 19K, it's 18K to unlock that special like Power Up with Pride staff stream of You Awaken in a Strange Place by Jacob Andrews. 19K is for the enhanced version of that bonus stream. So we're even closer than we thought, everybody. Let's do it for the Trevor Project.
We can do it. All right, flashing lights warning one more time as we duck through the elevator again. So if you thought that all earns was relatively quick, even with the deaths, this is nonsense. So any percent yes major glitches. We call it YMG for yes major glitches because we have NMG for no major glitches, of course, is ridiculous. It's absolutely absurd in this game. So in Axiom Verge 1, any percent YMG is world record is a little over 30 minutes, and for NMG world record is 33 minutes and change, I want to say. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. In Axiom Verge 2, NMG is in the mid-20s, and YMG is, as I mentioned, world record is under 11 minutes. It gets 4 items. The pickaxe, which we already have, a Mashulama, which we're forced to get through the drowning segment. And let's see, Ninhursag, or no, Shishkala, which is our power grip, and 5 items. The infection power, Mushhus, and Damu, the drone. So those 5 items are required to beat the game. There are 18 urns, so all urns collects, 20 items? Yeah, 20 items, because you also get the boomerang. Oh no, and you also get the breach attractor, so it collects 21. All right, so we're now ready to perform our first glitch. So if you walk through a screen transition, the screen will transition. But if you lock yourself in place and strike a wall or the ground, you get recoil. This does not trigger a screen transition because you have to be walking in the direction of the transition in order for the transition to trigger. So we're now out of bounds. And what's really important about being out of bounds is we're going to fall here, and then we're going to jump and move to the right, which will trigger the screen transition. And now we're behind this barrier that we needed the boomerang to get past. This is called a skew transition. You transition in a place that you are not supposed to be transitioning. You can actually do that in a completely different room, as long as it is aligned to the exit along either the X or the Y axis. And I'm not doing a very good job of explaining that, but I'll give you a better example later. So now we have that. We are actually just going to run and go get our infection power, because now we can climb over the glacier. We don't need the boomerang at all. We're not going to get it this run. So we're gonna go all the way over there, and we're gonna get those particular things, and then we're gonna just zap ourselves all the way back to the beginning of the game, and do that again. That is, the skew transition is incredibly powerful, and it gets us all the way to basically the end of the game very, very quickly. So there are a couple of other minor things that I'll be showing off after the any percent, but we're going to see the skew transition again a couple of times. And the other thing that we're going to see is the return of void warping. So anybody who watched any of the Axiom Verge glitched speedruns remembers the thing where you can switch places with your drone, and if your drone spawns out of bounds, some nonsense happens. And so void warping is a little bit more limited in Axiom Verge 2. Because it is much harder to spawn the drone out of bounds. I clunged that up a little bit. I don't have a boomerang, so it's a lot harder to make that particular transition safe. But it is possible to knock it back and jump through without taking that hit. In Axiom Verge 1, void warping was really powerful because the different areas of the game were all separate from each other. They were loaded separately, and so you could carry coordinates from one area to another. In Axiom Verge 2, the entire world is one giant, it's all on the same coordinate system all the time at the same time. Oh no, hello. That was not supposed to happen. Right. We're gonna... There we go. All right. So you can't store coordinates the way you could in Axiom Verge 1, and you can't just kind of void warp anywhere you want. You need to be able to out of bounds either Indra or the drone in ways that the game will recognize as being invalid. And since you can kind of wander around in out of bounds areas in this game in ways that you couldn't in Axiom Verge 1, you specifically need to embed either Indra or the drone into a wall. And force the game to correct their coordinates that way. So that's not super, super ideal for most of the things that we wanted to use void warping for in Axiom Verge 1. We would just use it to get around just random places. We can't do that in Axiom Verge 2. But there are still uses for void warping. And possibly the most important use of void warping is to get Indra out of bounds in a very unusual place, so that we can use a skew transition to get somewhere that we're really, really not supposed to be. Like, really not supposed to be. So if you will give me just one moment. So we're gonna go ahead and go. We didn't get the boomerang before. I feel kind of bad about that. So we're gonna go kind of in the general direction of the boomerang. We're not actually gonna get the boomerang because I'm gonna rethink that before we get too close to it. But what we are going to do is hang ourselves out here and go ahead and we call this backstabbing, is how we get out of bounds like this. You can also take hits from enemies and use the recoil from that damage to move you along as well. But I'm basically just going to backstab here for a little while. I'm slightly off rhythm. There we go. Okay. I'm going to wait until I see my character drop a little bit on the minimap. So if you see the little glowing white plus sign on my minimap, that's going to fall 1 pixel in a little bit. And come on. There we go. And now we're going to go ahead and trigger the skew transition. That's going to put us behind this. There's a grate over here. And this, if we enter through this door, you might recognize this area. We were just here. So that's, oops. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to, saving the game there was not strictly necessary. We're going to go ahead and hack this open. What is strictly necessary is saving the game here. So we'll go ahead and save the game there. This is really important because this is how we're going to void out Indra. Over this way was the way that we went to get the breach attractor. And what we're actually going to do now is we're going to leave Indra in that position inside that block that we just slid open. We popped our drone out just before we save warped. So our drone is going to respawn in this room. And what's going to happen is we're going to pop the drone and Indra is going to get spawned into the save point. So now we're out of bounds and we are all the way over where the drone was. We're going to walk to the right. We're on our way over to the egg room, basically, is how we're trying to get. So I'm going to do a little jump. I want to be a little bit careful about this. And then, all right, now we get to hold our breath and see if this worked. It worked. I'm going to jump. Ooh. So you might recognize this as the final boss chamber. There's...
Oh my gosh.
As I mentioned, if we don't pick up Anuman, which we never did, the boss just doesn't show up. So we can just kind of leisurely just take a stroll and that, and now we can just kind of come over here and detonate this bomb, and now we got to get out of here. We don't have our little slingshot hook, so we have to do this entire escape with just Indra. And so, unfortunately, there are no glitches that are going to get us out of this. We're gonna run for the hills. We don't even have the wall climb here, so we're just gonna run and hope for the best. And but this is kind of a fun escape in my opinion, because of that. Yep, I did not think that I could make that, but I wanted to give it a try. We're not in any particular danger. This is more narrow than the drone escapes, but you actually can make it. The jumps are just spaced enough that you can make it. So that's so that was about 12 minutes. A little bit longer than the 11 that I promised, but that's what the any percent run of this game looks like. So that basically what happened was I voided out Indra in that block because the game saves her position when you save quit. And the blocks starts out closed when that room is loaded. So basically it was like, oh, Indra's in a wall. I need to reset her position. Her last valid position is the save point where the drone is. And then I got to a place that was aligned with the room that Indra was in and triggered a skew transition that popped me up one room. That is a skew technique. I'm not going to say the actual name of it. We'll call it a wild skew. That pops you into the floor of the final boss room. And so as a result of that, you are able to enter the final boss room without any of the abilities that you normally need to get there. And that just lets you beat the game with almost nothing. So I do have 2 more glitches I want to show you before we wrap this up. The very first one is a little bit of a minor glitch that is done with the drone. And so you'll remember somewhat earlier in the run, during the No BS run, that there was a block that we needed to use Indra's power to explode and drop. You don't, strictly speaking, need that if you can use glitches. The drone can actually clip right in and then slingshot it out onto the other side. The very first of those 2 blocks in No Major Glitches, you actually do need the explosion power to get through. And you can even do this from the other side. Oop, that was not right. Oop, and come on. Cooperate, you little drone. Please cooperate. We're having a little bit of a... There we go. Unfortunately, you can't get out going the other way. So our little drone friend is trapped in here. We're going to go ahead and teleport the drone back to the very end of the game. So there's one last glitch that I want to use to close out this showcase, and this is a little fun little glitch related to the escape sequence. So currently, Indra is positioned in the room that ends the escape sequence. Just a little bit to the left of where the trigger that ends the escape sequence actually is. So she is poised and ready to be escaped when the drone comes back to her. She's just hanging out. We're just gonna recall the drone. It's gonna be a really fast, clean escape. No muss, no fuss. Just gonna recall the drone here. And so Indra's right here by the computer. We're going to run here. That's the trigger. So we beat the game. Bomb goes off. Everything's cool. What? This is not what I signed up for. For some reason, if you hit the end trigger from the left, Indra respawns at the beginning of the escape sequence at the bottom. And that's not all. This is story mode, so don't worry about that text box. I set up the save file specifically to demonstrate this glitch. But that is not the only part of the glitch. We are not done yet. No. Because something very special is waiting for us when we escape. We're going to get up to the top of this. And... Wait. It didn't end. It didn't end. Why didn't it end? Why didn't it end? How far can we get? About this far. This is a little game that I like to call escape golf. How far can you get in the reset escape sequence if you annul the trigger? And that's it. That's the glitch exhibition. That is every glitch that I am able to show you in Axiom Verge 2. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for funding this. This has been super fun. You've all been a great audience. Sandra, you've been a wonderful host. Thank you so much. Thank you very much to Power Up with Pride for having me on for Winter Pride. It has been a really great time.
Thank you so much for being here and for showing us just how fast you can beat this game. Oh my gosh.
It is the fast game.
And yeah, thank you so much, everybody, for your donations. Keep them coming because we are still getting closer and closer to the Tetris Grandmaster showcase later on tonight. We can still make it just a little bit around 2K left. And in the meantime, though, we are just a little bit away from our next our next game, which is Kirby and the Amazing Mirror by Mr. Shasta. And in the meantime, I will be staying as here for now because that is the end of my hosting run. You've all been wonderful. Thank you for being here. Keep on donating for the Trevor Project and keep on being wonderful. Bye-bye.